So, hi everybody. I'm Lisa Andrews. I'm head of PSHE here at Framingham High School, and we wanted to start creating some video clips to be used as home learning for FRAM students. And so I'm really, really pleased to say that my very first video that I'm going to be sending to students for their home learning is this one on the topic of emotional health and mental well-being. And I'm really, really lucky to be here with Tory Selwyn. She's from the UEA. She is the president of the Headucate Society, and we're going to be having a little chat about emotional health and mental well-being. Um, so, hi, Tory. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you, Lisa?
Good, not too bad. I'm okay. This is my second time back in school, and yeah, just getting used to being back at Fram. So, yeah. So, tell me a little bit about you, Tory, and how you
Um,
what you do at UEA.
so my name's Tory. I'm 23 and I'm a medical student at UEA. And so I'm studying to be a doctor currently, which is something that I've always wanted to do. And in my spare time, I am president of Headucate. And if you weren't already aware, at university, there's like a range of hundreds of different activities that you can get involved in that are just for fun or for sport or if you like performing arts. There's 100 different things that you can do, and one of the things that we do is mental health awareness. And as part of Headucate, our main thing that we do is usually we would go into secondary schools and teach a little bit about mental health and try to give you a little bit of something that you can take away and remember us by, and something about your mental well-being. So what we're trying to do now, seeing as schools are shut, is give people a little bit of something that they can do online, interactive, and we'll talk a little bit about that maybe later.
Yeah, definitely. At the end, we'll talk about the webinars that we're hoping to arrange for students. Oh, amazing. Well, I thought I'd start by asking you about, what is mental health? How would you define mental health, Tori?
So I think we would define mental health at Educate as the way that you think, the way that you feel, and the way that people act and manage their stresses. I think that mental health is just as important as physical health is, and that they're very interlinked. And for example, someone dealing with some stress or anxiety might have like stomach pains as a way of like that reflecting how they feel. So they're like really important to understand kind of your triggers and how you feel and how your physical health might be impacting your mental health and vice versa.
Absolutely. I think it's so important that we recognise that, yeah, that the link between mind and body. And we teach a lot. We talk to the students about the stress response and how kind of when we are feeling anxious or not kind of totally, yeah, healthy in our minds, that can really impact on the way that our body feels. Like you said, some of those early warning signs about kind of maybe having muscle aches or like a racing heart rate, or yeah, those kinds of feelings, headaches and things like that. So it's really important, isn't it, to recognize that they are interlinked.
Yeah, and picking up on the fight or flight response, that um, feeling of there's something like not quite right and kind of my body's reacting to it. That's a completely normal response in some circumstances, and we're built in like with this mechanism because we need it. Like if you saw a shark swimming towards you, you need that kind of all of that energy and that impulse to run away from the shark or swim away from the shark. So it's okay to have that feeling, but just knowing how to manage it and cope with it and make sure that it doesn't become an overwhelming thing
Yeah,
is the important part.
absolutely. And I think as well, kind of like when it comes to good mental health, I think sometimes people assume that good mental health means being happy and like feeling amazing all the time. And that's not always correct, is it? Like good mental health isn't just about always feeling amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I think good mental health can be being able to cope with your stresses well, and that might not necessarily be putting on a smile and being happy all the time, but recognizing when you're maybe going on a downhill slope and you need a little bit of a pick me up, knowing to recognize those signs. It doesn't mean that you don't have any negative thoughts, that you never feel anxious or down, but it just means that you have some healthy ways of coping. And hopefully maybe we can go through some tips at the end for people and ways to keep themselves in check and make sure that they're feeling well in their mind.
Absolutely, yeah. We all have mental health. I think that's really important to, yeah. And it is about recognizing the ups and downs that we have and having good coping strategies for dealing with those, isn't it? So I was going to ask you, like, which factors have a most significant role in good mental health? You know, what are the kind of factors that can either impact on our mental health in a positive way or in a negative way?
So I think a lot of it is to do with what is around us. I think the people that are around us play a really big role in how we feel, because as much as we think, or maybe we shouldn't care so much about what other people think about us, we all kind of can't really help but be people that do care if you're that kind of person. So the people around us and our family, I think, are really important in being a support system. I think having a support system there, whether it's your teachers, your friends, or your parents or siblings, or a GP if someone more professional is something you feel you might need. But I think having anyone or someone there is really important. I think the things that we do in our spare time and while we're at school, I think all of those things play a really important role. So things like social media, particularly at this time, with less school, I think people might spend more time on social media, which can, maybe either have a positive or negative impact. And I think also how we decide to think and feel and process and react to things is also really important. So being able to like stop and take a step back and think things through and not overthink things through and rationalize that as much as something might be bad, that everything's going to be okay at the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like what you said, like having really good relationships can have a really positive impact on your mental health, can't it? And I suppose likewise, if there are strains in our relationships, that can have a negative impact. Things like sleep, for example, that can have a really big impact on our mental health, can't it?
Yeah, definitely. So some of the easiest and like simplest things that can have a positive impact on our mental health are things like sleep. Getting a good amount of sleep in the night can really help, because your body needs that time to take a break and to process things. So sleep is so important. It helps you like reset your body clock, and everything needs a little break. So I think sleep, exercise, and that doesn't necessarily mean having to go out for a run or going to the gym, but even just going like for a small 5-minute walk, to the bus stop at the end of your road and back, can just help you like get a little bit of fresh air and help release endorphins, which are like this hormone chemical that come out when you exercise.
So endorphins are like our natural pain reliever, aren't they, as well? So that's kind of like really positive for our mental health. To when we release endorphins, we feel good, and we don't. When we have got like those endorphins going, we're not necessarily in like the kind of the stress response, kind of, because we can't. Yeah. So exercise is a really, really great way of kind of releasing those endorphins and making us feel so much better and happier, isn't it? So so good sleep, good bit of exercise, but like you said, it doesn't have to be kind of a big workout. It could just literally be like a walk in the park or something like that. And then also just those relationships and things. So that leads me on really nicely actually to the next question, which was like how might our current situation with COVID-19 be having an impact on the mental health of young people, especially? What might be the impact that this time is having on us?
Mhm. Well, obviously, like it's having a big impact on everyone, but young people especially. I think if we're looking at the fact that schools have been closed for quite a while, and well, some of them are slowly looking at opening, but some might not be open still for a while. Um, some of the young people might be thinking about, well, the fact that they might be missing some of their learning or not getting their full experience of being able to see their friends, and socializing with people like their own age, I think, is really important, and in terms of like personal growth and building like relationships, like when you're at school, I think are some of the relationships that you might carry forward for a lot of your life. So I think people are missing out on that. And although you can, virtual call and Zoom and things like that, I think it's not the same. I think the fact that schools are closed as well mean people are spending more time at home, and whether that means they're spending more time on social media or they're spending more time around their family, and maybe tensions might be running higher than they usually are.
Absolutely.
I think that,
Yeah, so much at the moment where people are trying to do so many things. You've got parents who are trying to work at home, and then they're trying to homeschool, and they're trying to keep the house going, and that's going to have an impact, isn't it, on the whole family, and those tensions and stresses, as well as things like the economic impacts of this time as well, and worrying about that stability with jobs and employment and stuff. So there's so many things going on, and I suppose a lot of young people might feel they have even less control than ever. I mean, I think all of us feel like a feeling of not being completely in control, don't we? Because it's all so unknown, which we're not used to, are we? We're not used to that. We know that there's a part of life is the unknown, that is a part of the human experience, but it's even more so an unknown situation right now, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, this is something that we've never ever within our lifetimes come across before. So we're all trying to kind of muddle through the best we can. So I think it's also really important to remember that everyone is kind of everyone may be dealing with something, and so even even if you're like going down to the shop and saying a nice please and thank you, if you're asking for something, is can just make someone's day, or just giving someone a smile as you're like walking 2 meters apart from them,
Yeah.
is really important and can really make someone's day. So
We have to be kind, I guess, don't we? Because we don't all know what everyone's situations are, so we have to be really kind to each other, and be mindful of that. Absolutely.
Also, talking of kindness, I don't know if you celebrated it there, but Mental Health Awareness Week, the theme this year was kindness.
Yes.
And there was a lot of information about that kindness can impact not just the person that you're doing the kind thing for, but impacts yourself and your own mental health, and does wonders for making you feel better in yourself because you've done something to help someone else. So I think trying to do like one kind thing a day, even if it's for one of your parents, getting them a glass of water instead of them having to get up for it, is just one of those small things you can do.
Absolutely. That's one of the 5 ways to wellbeing, isn't it? Give. There's like the 5 ways to wellbeing of things you can do, and giving is a big part of, like you said, it helps someone else, and it makes us feel good as well, and makes us feel like we're doing something worthwhile. Yeah, at Fram, we've been doing staff quizzes and raising money for local charities, and that's been a really nice way that we've been connecting and also doing some good. So that's been really lovely. So today we're talking about mental health, and that is one of the big things, isn't it, to talk about this topic. It's something that I think that younger generations often can be actually a lot better at sometimes than older generations, about talking about our feelings and talking about it and taking the stigma away from mental health. As we said, we all have mental health, so it affects all of us. But why do you think it is? I'm a big advocate in believing that talking about mental health is probably one of the best strategies to coping with it. But why is it so important that we talk about our feelings and talk about mental health?
Well, for me, I think that the important thing about talking about things that might be playing on your mind is that then they're not sitting there in your mind and maybe building and getting worse, and maybe staying there longer than we'd like. So I think that talking about things can, as people say, a problem shared is a problem halved, and that might not necessarily be the case all the time, but it can definitely feel like you've got a little bit of weight off of your shoulders if you're not dealing with something all by yourself. Because there are other people, always there'll be someone around you that cares and wants to listen and wants to take a little pressure off of you. And if that might just be by you letting out how you're feeling, and the other person saying like it's completely valid for you to feel that way, and I'm sorry that you're dealing with that, and if I can do anything to help, or if you want to talk to me again, I'm here, then that's, I think one of the most important things.
Sometimes it's like you said, the recognition that other people might feel the same, and you'd never kind of known that they were feeling that way. And when we talk about it, we recognise that our own experience is valid, isn't it? And not something to be, we're not that different to everybody else. Everybody else is possibly having those same feelings, or has had those feelings in the past, and can empathise with you. Absolutely. Yeah.
We're all human.
Absolutely, we are all human. Who can we talk to? Like, who are good people? I mean, like, we at school, we talk about the fact that we talk about, like, we have a hand, and we talk about, like, you need five people who you can go to as your support, and that could be an adult in school, it could be an adult outside of school, it could be family member. I mean, yeah, who would you say, like, who can we talk to? Are there any other people that we might be able to talk to apart from just our friends and family?
So yeah, friends and family are obviously really important and should maybe be like your first place to go to. But the place that I would always recommend, if you feel like the things that you're dealing with might not be something that your family could help you deal with. Maybe you just don't feel comfortable talking to your family about these kind of things. So like obviously you can talk to like a teacher at school, but then your GP, so like your family doctor, they will try and help you as well, and they're a professional that has a lot of experience with it. So that is also another place that you can go. There's also loads of mental health charities, and some that are like specifically for young people. So I know that there's Young Minds,
Yes, yeah.
which is a good charity, which will have like a phone service and an email service. There's also Mind, which is another charity with a similar kind of service. And I think it's important to remember that these services are like completely confidential services, and so you don't have to like give out any information you're not comfortable with, and also any information that you tell them, unless someone is in like immediate harm or danger, all of your information is going to be like kept completely between the two of you. So you can talk to these people about anything you want without any feeling that you're going to be judged, or that anyone else is going to kind of find out about it. So I'd say like your GP and some of the mental health charities are some really good places that you can go to. There's also a quite new service that's been set up by the Royal Family, which is a Shout, which is a little text service that you can just text free, and you basically just have like another person on the end of the phone just to talk to, and you can talk to them about anything, and they'll just sit and listen. And that's also the same for the Samaritans as well. There's a lot of different places that want to be there and listen.
Yeah, we also have a really good service called Chat Health that students can access as well, and that's a text service as well to kind of school nurses. So if you go online and search Norfolk Chat Health, it's an NHS service, and that can also be really helpful as well. We recommend that one. But lots of people to talk to, whether that's someone who you're close to, or whether it is one of these support services. There's so many places, aren't there, that we can access information, and just, yeah, sometimes it can maybe feel difficult to start that mental health conversation. And to approach somebody, but sometimes just maybe even if it is your family, just kind of saying to one of your family members, like, I'd really love to sit and have a chat, like, can we maybe do that later, maybe just like kind of arranging in like a cuppa and a biscuit or something with our family, and then talking things through.
And I think also it's important that if you think that someone else in your family might be struggling, like how to approach them about it if you might not be sure. So yeah, saying to them like should we just sit down and have a cup of coffee and a chat, like you said, or saying like, instead of asking like how are you feeling right now? You can say like, how are you? How are you doing? Or, what have you been up to today? That, or just like what you've been up to today, and just like starting a conversation, and then it kind of allows someone else to talk and say whatever, or how much or how little they want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, brilliant. So finally, I was going to ask you, what are your top tips? What if you were going to give like 3 top tips to young people to look after their emotional well-being and mental health? What would be your top tips? What would you recommend?
So we have already talked a little bit about some lifestyle things. So we've already talked about sleep and exercise, but another really important thing is to do with eating and drinking healthily, because as we said, like mental and physical health have a massive like interconnection with each other. And so want to make sure that we're like really looking after our physical health as well, to make sure that that's not having any impact. So having 3 good meals a day is so important, and having little snacks in between. Like you're allowed to have a little like cheeky chocolate bar. Like no one's stopping you from doing that. You should, if you want a chocolate bar, you should have a chocolate bar. And making sure that you drink enough water, trying to get in 5 fruit and veg a day, although it can be hard sometimes. So yeah, I would say like that's my first top tip, is just like the simple things are important. My second thing is try and give yourself a little bit of headspace just for yourself at some point during the day, whether it's like in the morning when you wake up, that you just give yourself a minute just to, I don't know, sit out the window and just reflect on how you're feeling and how you're going to start the day. Or just before you go to bed at night, just having a little reflection of the day. Or when you're in the middle of having a little yoga or meditation session, or going for a little walk in the countryside, just taking a second to stop and look and think, and take a deep breath. There's some really good like breathing exercises that you can learn to do as well. And all the meditation and yoga can sometimes be helpful for people, self-care wise. And I think my final thing would be to keep open to people around you, to allow people there to know that you're there for them, and that you're not afraid to talk about your mental health. And maybe people might open up more when they might not have before. So just letting people know that you're a safe space to go to, and that you care, and that you will listen without any judgment is it's really important.
Oh, there's I'd definitely say one of my massive tips is about learning kind of techniques to feel calm. Things like you said, breathing techniques and relaxation, and yeah, like because there's actually really scientific reason behind why those things work, isn't there? I think some people might think things like breathing techniques and relaxation are a little bit kind of, I don't know, like not very scientific, or don't have a real kind of like logical reason for why they work, but they really do. Things like having those deep breathing techniques, it helps, doesn't it, to kind of lower your heart rate. And if your heart rate is lower, then you're not going to be feeling as nervous and anxious. And things like I love Headspace is a really great, they do lots of children's, I know that you have to pay for them, but they have like lots of children's kind of relaxations, don't they, and things that can yeah, teach you like how to do like the what do they call it, where you almost kind of like visualize, you kind of breathe yourself down into relaxation, like you do a body scan, that's it, and you think about where all the tension is in all parts of your body, and it can really help, can't it? And the more you do it, the more regularly that becomes kind of part of your routine, the easier you find it to kind of relax. And yeah, when your body's relaxed, your mind is more relaxed.
Yeah, definitely. I think being able to recognize the ways that you feel like you can relax the most, like obviously for some people yoga and meditation and headspace and breathing exercises might not work. So for some people it might be like doing a bit of coloring, or I don't know, weightlifting or baking, or just something that people feel that they can let out some relief and get some enjoyment out of, maybe as well.
Something mindful where you're just kind of in the moment of what you're doing, like playing an instrument or sport or something like that. Just enjoying that moment, not thinking of the past or the future, and anything's kind of negative feelings that may come from that, I guess.
Hobbies just as important as keeping up with your schoolwork as well, because always need to get some enjoyment out of life. So make sure to, if you've dropped any hobbies, try and pick them back up, or start a new hobby. I've been trying to learn a little bit of British Sign Language
Oh, amazing.
over lockdown. It's not going amazingly well, but I'm trying.
Learning new things is really great for our well-being as well, isn't it? It gives us a sense of achievement and a sense of, yeah, trying something different, and yeah, just new skills that make us feel good about ourselves. But oh, well, thank you so much, Tory. That's been so helpful. We were talking before as well, weren't we, about maybe doing a webinar just for our Fram students. So yeah, if you would be happy to do that, we would love that. What kind of things might we talk about in that webinar? What things might be discussed?
So in our Headucate webinars, we are talking a lot about mental well-being and relating it a lot to the current situation with COVID and people being, well, we're not too much on lockdown now, but we're still kind of focusing on the fact that we're all kind of in this pandemic, etc. So we start off with a little Kahoot quiz, which is kind of myth busting, talking about what people believe, and some statistics and facts about mental health and COVID, and have a look at a little scenario together. And we want it to be an open discussion and really interactive. So we kind of say, like, no answer is wrong. We want everyone's opinions to be heard. So we want to hear like what people think about mental health, and we'll look at some of the more common things that people might be suffering from at this time, some important things that we want to highlight, and giving people some tips about their self-care, and also like places that they can go for support, and some like important information and helplines. Also hopefully give the students a little chance to find out a little bit about university if they've got any questions, or if they want to know anything about Headucate. We're looking forward to hopefully running a session.
Oh, amazing. And you also run sessions, don't you, on Fridays at 1 o'clock, was it?
Yeah.
That anyone can attend?
Yeah. So if you are interested in those, I'm sure we can send over to you, Lisa, the link to sign up for those as well.
Amazing. We'll put it on our Twitter feed. I can also post that out on Show My Homework, which is our school. We're setting homework on for students at the minute. So, oh, Tory, it's been so lovely to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time. It's really kind of you to create this with us. So, yeah, take care. We'll see you on webinar soon.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.